I mean, maybe anger is not the right word. Maybe anger is not the right word. I am sad that this meeting would not allow for people to be able to join, to be able to speak, because I know that a lot of us are having what's it called, network issues, and I can see that our time is fast running. So when it comes to openness of government, government is not open in Nigeria. I think it's a thing that everybody knows. There are still a lot of things that are hidden. For example, I'll give an example. A couple of weeks and days now, Dangote has been protesting vehemently. In fact, Dangote started his own end bad governance before us, complaining about how the NNPC are not being transparent in their dealings with him and everything like that. They've not paid some certain money and everything, and then NNPC comes out to say, "Oh no, Dangote's." For the fuel that he refines is not good enough for the cars in Nigeria and everything like that. Then Dangote mentions that Nigerians have refineries in Malta, and then news starts spreading out that Nigeria spends around billions of dollars to bring fuel from Malta, and then everybody goes, "Wow, this is news! This is news!" Before you know it, Dangote has been offered 500,000 barrels to refine, and he was going to pay in naira. So, which is like a good deal for him. So you are not hearing Dangote's noises anymore again. Because again, I mean, everybody has tried to close the loophole. Dangote was trying to, talk about the corruption that goes on in government and the decision-making process. And everybody was shocked, and then they tried to close the loophole. Also, when it comes to procurement, I don't know if you've dealt with government in terms of procurement. Government can be very, very strict. Not strict, they can be very, very inefficient. So government releases, like, they want to do a project, and then they say, "Oh, okay, people should submit their proposal." 95% of people believe that they already have the person they want to work with. So there's no point submitting. I mean, the remaining 5%, they just say, "You know what, let's just try it." Because again, the belief is that government has somebody that they want to work with. And over time, government has shown that, with people who have decided to then go ahead and submit those proposals and everything like that. And, by looking at these two definitions of accountability and transparency, why do you think it's very, very important? It's very, very important because it promotes trust between government and the citizens. One key reason today for the protest is because people don't trust the government. Government, they are doing this, they are doing that, they are doing this, they are doing that, but people are like, I don't think they are doing anything, because there's no trust between the government and the people, and even institutions. I mean, I can take you back to the last election. Look at the last election. INEC said, "Oh, we are going to use IREV and everything like that." So people get, excited. First-time voters, they were really excited. They were going to vote, and then they were going to see their votes displayed in real time and everything like that. Now, INEC comes at the end of the day to say that, they can decide to use IREV or not according to the law. And then everybody's like, "Yes, that's true according to the law, but you also said you would use it," which means that, your definition of the law is, by the law says you can decide if you want to use it or not. And you came to tell everybody that we would use it, and got the overwhelming confidence of the people. Now, when it comes to transmitting the results, you are claiming that you have decided not to use it. I don't know how many people, I mean, can we just do a very small poll here? If based on 2023 elections, would you like to vote next time? Please do a thumbs up. Let's see. Based on the 2023 election and your experiences, would you like to vote in the next election? I'd like to see thumbs up if you would like to vote in the 2027 election. I can't see any. Based on the 2023 elections, and you think, what, the likelihood of voting in the 2027 election is high. Please, can I see your thumbs up? Like, you don't think you will vote in the 2027 election based on your experience in the 2023 election? Yes, Aisha said she's not voting. Again, it's also as a result of, "Oh, I put my trust in this system, in this process, and then, when it's time for me to reap the reward for my trust, I didn't get it. Another importance of transparency and accountability in terms of institutional accountability is that it enhances efficiency and effectiveness in public service delivery. Why do you think private sector works better than the public sector? Because again, there is that point that when you're accountable to your boss, you are much more effective. For example, your boss asks you to do X, Y, Z, and he tells you that the deadline is on Tuesday, and he's going to come back to ask you for it, and you can't have any excuse. You would work better. But in the process, everybody in the system, they are not accountable to each other. They lack any form of, transparency. People just do things anyhow. And that is why, for example, the entire Lagos to Calabar Road saga was just nonsense for everybody. There's going to be a road, there's not going to be a road, there's going to be a road, this is where the road is, and everything like that. And then they asked them for the environmental impact assessment report. They said they have it. Okay, please present it. And then they said they don't have it anymore. And now what we are hearing after destroying someone's business, irrespective of whether or not there are underlying issues, you've gone ahead to destroy someone's business, and now you are claiming that for now we have to halt the project. We are not, it makes no sense. And people, it drives how people look at government and everything like that. There was a time I was working on a project with the Ministry of Education. And because of the lack of accountability and transparency, they don't accept emails. Emails are easy to trace. You can delete your own from your own end. If I don't delete from my own end, nothing is hidden. They will tell you to bring a letter. In Abuja, 2024, bring a letter to the Ministry of Education. And so when you submit the letter, then you have to take an acknowledgement copy. Whereas my own copy of what I've sent to you should be my own acknowledgement copy. So I have to then go back again to the Ministry of Education and then ask, where is my letter? Has it been approved? Or, whatever it is. And then they will say, okay, did you bring your acknowledgement copy? And then you start working with them office to office to see where the letter has reached. It is a very, very bizarre thing for me whenever I have to do that. And it's not just the Ministry of Education. Virtually all ministries, virtually all departments, virtually all agencies in Nigeria wants you to send a handwritten or a typed letter to them. In 2024, when you could easily have a mail, compare that to your friends in other countries. They can easily send a mail to any agency and then they get a response. And, it's all those things. When it comes to accountability, Nigeria does not have it. And it's a very, very deep issue for us. Now, when we talk about key institutions that, the public knows, this is government 101. So I don't need to go much into it. We have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, and we all know how they work hand in hand. The executive and the legislature, some part of the executive are voted and some are appointed. All of the legislative arm, they are elected, except their aides and everything. And then the judiciary is purely by appointment. So there's a room for interdependency for them. The executive is voted in and sworn in by the judiciary. The judiciary interprets the law that the legislative arm makes, and the legislative arm also checkmates the executive by providing oversight for what they do. So they are all interdependent. Not one can perform the function of government without the other. And so these are some of the key institutions that we look up to, for example, in Nigeria. And so, your ministries, department and agency are under the executive, and the legislative arm is largely the National Assembly, which all of us know, the judiciary, the courts and everything like that. And what are the responsibilities of this institutions is to coordinate and collaborate amongst themselves for the effectiveness of government. So if one is not functioning properly, all of them will not function properly, which means if one lacks integrity and accountability, all of them would falter. So for example, the judiciary lacks any form of accountability. That's why the executive can do anyhow, and that's why the judiciary, and that's why the legislative arm can do anyhow. The legislative arm too, they lack any form of accountability. For example, I think I saw a news article a couple of days ago that what the National Assembly gets is more than what the Ministry of Transportation, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Housing, and a couple of other ministries get put together. And then I'm wondering in my mind that what is happening in this country? Why would the National Assembly of 469 people get so much allocation that ministries that literally affect the lives of people do not get half of what they get? It's also because there is that lack of accountability, there's that lack of transparency within the system. And so everybody keeps quiet. The executive is supposed to be able to say, why is there so much money being allocated to the legislative arm, and then the judiciary should then be able, when people take, the legislative arm to court, the judiciary should then be, interpret the law according to the law. But again, we get different definitions of law these days. My law friends, whenever they hear judgments and everything, they usually laugh and they say Nigeria is a funny place. I'll give you an example of laws that are funny. People wanted to protest, or people are protesting right now, and I think they got an injunction in Lagos that they can only protest in certain places. And then one of my law friends was telling me that they got the judgment was done without the participation of the opposing side. So there are supposed to be two sides to a case. So the person that brought the case before the government, before the court, they heard his own side. They didn't hear the other person's side, and then they just made judgments. You can see how lack of accountability rots the system, and so people don't believe in the system. I know many of us, when we have issues, you'd rather just settle it than take it to the police or take it to the courts, because again, you believe that number one is going to take a long time. Number two is going to cost me money, and I may not get value for my money. And generally, it's just a messy process. And then you're like, you know what? I don't even have time for these things. And that's what millions of Nigerians feel. And it's a very, very big problem. And, generally, it talks about how, our institutions are not solid enough to be able to deliver the mandates of government. But again, I mean, some of the ethics and integrity parts in public institutions, and I'd like for us to just look at the importance of ethics and integrity in every institution is the foundation of trust and credibility in public institutions, which promotes fairness, justice, and equality. Take for example the Nigerian police. If the Nigerian police is fair in his dealings, more people will go to the police. For example, in 2019, I was robbed in my town. My phone was stolen from me. And then my boss said, would you go and report to the police? And I'm like, I don't understand. Why would I go and report to the police? Because, I mean, police would ask me, I should bring one money to find the phone and everything like that. At the end of the day, they will still not find the phone. And I've also parted with more money. And I know it's the same thing for many of us. There are some issues that you look at, like, the police should handle it, and then you're just like, you know what, let it just be. I know people who have, signed up bad debts because they just believe, for example, you want the police to help you work on, a bad debt and everything like that. Or you go to the courts and everything like that. It's a long process. And it's because we lack, that level of accountability. And if we're to introduce normal ethics into our public institution, maybe, for example, if you go to a public institution and then they answer you quickly, you're like, wow, that's nice, because that's the exception. Rather, it should be the norm. Like you go somewhere and then they answer you very, very fast. You're like, oh my God. And they did not ask you for any bribe or anything like that. You're going to be like, wow, that's nice. That's really, really, you are surprised. Whereas, compared to other countries, it's a God-given, right for them. They want to do what they want to do, and then they get out. And one key part that erodes our ethics and integrity in Nigeria is corruption. And, corruption erodes public trust. People don't, I mean, once there's corruption, people don't, for example, Nigerian police is rife with corruption, and so people don't trust in them. It also hinders development and progress. I gave the example of the Lagos to Calabar Superhighway. Now we don't even know where we are on the project. Lagos Ibadan Expressway has been done. I mean, I was in secondary school. I think I was in primary school when they started Lagos to Ibadan Expressway. Until today, they've still not finished. I've been out of university for 6 years, so 7 years now. Imagine you were in primary school when a road was being built, and now, 7 years out of university, the road has still not been built. Do you understand? Because again, there is no accountability within the government. When you ask them, they tell you, oh, we are doing our work, we are doing our work. Whereas other countries have built similar things within the same period. I would give you an example. Ethiopia built its Addis trail, and it's longer than Lagos to Ibadan Expressway, Lagos Ibadan Expressway, and they built it within, I think, 3 or 4 years. Whereas Tese, can you please mute? Whereas the Lagos Ibadan Expressway has been going on for 20 years. And look at several other roads across the country, several other projects across the country, and everything like that, which has hindered us, hindered our development as a country. And corruption leads to inefficient use of resources. Inefficient use of resources in the sense that you're supposed to do something for 13,000 naira, you budget 200,000 naira. Realistically speaking, I don't think the amount that you budget is my problem because of the country I find myself in. But I find it also that when they also budget those things, they still don't complete it. Okay, yes, we're giving you 200,000 naira. Where is the product? They can't still see it. But you're building your new house, the community center that you're supposed to build, you've not built it and everything like that. And corruption affects us all because, again, it then comes to bite us back. It is corruption that has led to the rise of Boko Haram. It is corruption that has led to the rise of Masob, the rise of IPOB and everything like that. Let me tell you a story. In 1997, yes, they were doing 2 million march for Abacha in Abuja here. I don't know how many of you have heard that story before. The 2 million march for Abacha. So they brought young people as of then. Some of us were still toddlers then. They brought young people from across the country. Now, the Niger Delta, they brought young people from the Niger Delta area, all those areas that produce oil. And then they brought them to Abuja to march. They put them in the hotel and everything. They flew them from all their states and then put them in an hotel and everything like that. Now they get to Abuja, they see the massive roads, they see the high-rise buildings, and they just see the general development that's happening in Abuja, and then they look at it like it is the money from the oil in our area that is building all these things. And that 2 million march process is what gave birth to the rise of Masob, IPOB, and everything like that. Because again, when you trace history, when you look back at it, you then see all those things. Now, imagine the money from oil has been used to develop every part of the country, most especially the part that is producing the oil. Do you think we would have the issues that we have right now today? We won't, or at least we would not have it in large quantities that we have it today. The NNPC's equivalent in Saudi Arabia is called Aramco. So, Aramco is like the state-owned oil company in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia and Nigeria are oil producing companies. Now, Aramco is worth 107. Aramco is not worth 175 billion. Aramco's profit for 2023 was $175 billion. Just profit. Whereas NNPC here, you know the story for NNPC. Do you know how bad it is? Because again, we've also inefficiently used our resources, and then it's so bad. I can tell you for a fact, Nigeria's debt is around $110 billion. That means the profit from one company in Saudi Arabia can pay our debts and they'll still have enough. Why? Because we've not judiciously managed our resources. And why is that? Lack of accountability. Our institutions are not strong, so people just do anyhow. There was a report, I think, in 2008 that says since 1960 till now, over $500 billion has been stolen. Here for you to hear that, 20 billion was missing, this money was missing. You're always hearing it in millions. Now you can hear, when you hear the amount of money that goes, right now, I don't think it's up to, I don't think it's $1 trillion is a child's play in what has been stolen from the Commonwealth of Nigeria because of lack of strong institutions. People do not have, there's no consequences for people's actions. And people do not, I see that the time here says it remains 46 seconds. Are we rejoining with this link, or I don't know, what's the plan? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we'll rejoin with the link and finish up the session quickly before we join the second session.
Yeah, would soon be done. I made sure it's not long, so maybe in the next 20 minutes, we should be done.
So please, everyone should check back on the WhatsApp platform for the link.
Can we log out now?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think we are being logged out, so maybe I should just continue. I'll just continue till when the space goes off. When the Zoom goes off. Ethical principles in public institutions, just like I've said, public institutions should be accountable, they should be transparent, they should be fair, and they should have integrity, and then they should respect other people. Can anyone list? I mean, again, you can type it in the chat link in the chat box if you know any institution that has any of these 4 principles. I mean, we don't all have to agree, but then again, in Nigeria, you can look at it like an institution that is accountable and transparent, there's fairness and integrity, and then there's respect. Which one do you think? I mean, I can mention one. Yeah, maybe the Mark 3. To a reasonable extent, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, because yes, despite the fact that they're part of government, they still, how would I put it? They still work on they still provide some level of data that is newsworthy. For example, they say 40% inflation rate and everything like that. I mean, they could have gone the other way and say, you know what, Nigeria is 20, or not even 20, like 9% inflation rate, whereas you can all see it that it's even more than 40. But if you have any, please drop it in the chat box. That we should see. I was, when I was designing this, I was hoping that it would be an interactive one. As much as possible, I still want it to be interactive. And I would like to hear people's voices. I know it's going to be difficult, but I'd like to hear everyone's voice, or at least most people's voice, and talk about. So we have two scenarios here that I've pointed out, and the scenario is a public official is offered a bribe to overlook regulatory violations. And the scenario two is a government agency fails to disclose important information to the public. The discussion would then be, how do you think the public official should handle the bribe offer, number one? And what steps do you think government agencies can take to improve transparency? Anybody can go and answer any of the two questions. I would like to hear from anybody, please. Hello, can anyone hear me? Is anyone willing to try? Or is there anything in the chat box? Oh, there are a lot of conversation in the chat box. Sorry. Oh, I will still vote. Thank you very much. You can also drop it in the chat box if network might be an issue for you. I'd like to get at least from one person and then we can move on. Understand how the network has been treating everyone today.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. I want to attempt the question.
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you very much. Please tell us your name, because what I can see on your screen is Infinix X6517.
My name is Barnabas.
All right, thank you very much, Barnabas. Please go ahead.
So the question says, how should the public official handle the bribe offer? I'll say that institutional accountability, let's say that most institutions are created, public institutions are created, and they are managed by people. So first of all, it has to do with the individual managing such public institution. If the individual is not that of one who is not accountable to himself, the person cannot be accountable to the people, even when such person is managing and for instance, if the person who is the chief judge is not one who is accountable to himself, an individual who is not accountable, an individual who is not known, who is not trusted by the people, such kind of person, you will not expect them to be accountable. Most times, the government themselves try to appoint people who they have seen with so much dubious character, people who can be easily who can easily accept bribes. These are the kind of people that most government prefer to bring them in to manage some public offices, because they know that if they use them, such people will be able to do and do their way. They'll be able to manipulate. They'll be able to take bribery. So the government prefers to use such people. Most times, they prefer to use such people in those institutions. So I would say it has to do with individual. We were saying the other time that by next time, if they are appointing an chairman, it should be an individual who has track record of accountability, who has track record of trust. And so it should not be the president appointing INEC chairman. So we'll see that the individual, the person, the sort of person handling and public institution should be somebody who is known for track record of trust and accountability. Now, what are the steps that the government agencies take to improve transparency? You know, we have known that those institutions serve as a linkage between the government and the people. And most times, there's no linkages. Those institutions are not working. So the first step that those government agencies have to take is that you have to start working. You have to start working. Most government officials go to work without doing anything. They go to work, they come back, they don't do anything. At the end of the day, at the end of the month, we know that huge amount is being transferred to them as salary, and they're doing nothing there. So the one thing I would suggest is that those public, I mean the government agencies should go to work. They should work. Let us see what they are doing. In fact, if you want to expect them to be accountable, let's say if you want to see them being accountable to us, first of all, what are they doing that they are accountable to us? We are not seeing them do anything. So they don't even have anything to tell us. That is why most times look at it as if they're not being accountable to us. They're not doing anything in the first instance. So they should start working. Let us see them working.
All right, thank you very much, Barnabas. I would come back to that. Can I hear from Shat Floan? Please go ahead and. Shat Floan, you raised your hands. You can speak now. And if you are speaking, you are on mute, so maybe you should unmute yourself. You are muted rather, maybe you should unmute yourself. Okay, so somebody just dropped a comment in the box and then said, oh, okay, you have lowered your hand already. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So I think again, you also what you spoke about, looking for somebody with track records and everything like that is also as a result of people appointing them to not, lacking integrity. You know that this person cannot do the work, and then you still go ahead because again, you want somebody who will not be able to do the job, and so that you'll be able to take advantage of it. It's a whole cycle of violence. I mean, not violence like, more or less like, inefficiency. An inefficient person appoints another inefficient person and everything like that. And then again, you have to lie to make sure that, the person that has appointed you gets back into power. I would have loved to hear more. Maybe that could also come as an assignment. We should think about, again, how should public official handle bribe? If, as a public official, once you are offered bribe, just say no. It's very, very simple. If you say no today, say no tomorrow, people will know you for that. And also, if an institution knows that, you say no to bribes, they won't offer you. It's because they know your roots is in bribery. For example, during the election period, and I'm not trying to make this political, the people were saying, oh, a certain candidate, and then, he goes ahead and says, we know they give shishi. Like, we don't give any money. If you want to vote and everything like that. And at that point, people who were following him took that up. I mean, again, and then as his mantra, we know they give shishi. We know they give shishi. They're not going to bribe for you to vote and everything like that. It's how it works. Say you're not collecting, and then, people would be able to then follow up with that. But if they know you as, if you know you as that, they would always take it. I'm being told that my time is almost up, so I'll just talk about strategies for promoting transparency and accountability, which is about strengthening our framework, implementing robust anti-corruption in anti-corruption laws. I think we have enough of that. Is how do we enforce transparency? For example, a lot of people have advocated for how would I put it? They've advocated for human-less touch when it comes to money handling. You pay straight to an account and everything like that, so as to reduce it. The less humans exchange money, the more you are able to then strengthen your institutions and everything like that. We also need people who have, who know that there is work to do and then they are able to do it. Also encouraging, strategy to promote accountability is enhancing public participation, encouraging people to citizens' engagement in government. And I always tell people this every now and then that participation in governance does not start and end with you voting. Even after you voted, you need to engage government every other day. Because again, you might not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. Politics is what makes your life good or bad. Let's be honest. Whether or not, you'll be able to match up with your colleagues across the world, it's because of politics. Politics affects education, it affects the kind of food you would eat and everything like that. So everybody should engage in politics one way or the other. And I don't mean you have to be a politician or you have to be a card-carrying member of a party. Just by asking the right questions, talking to your own representatives and everything like that, you are already engaging in politics. And then you provide platform. Government should provide platform for public feedback. Our greatest public feedback right now is social media. That's where government gets to hear from us and everything like that. I think government should do better, in terms of making sure that people as voices are heard. For example, this protest now, they've so much politicized it that, many people don't even know what to do again, because there is the say no to protest and then there's the protest part and everything. Whereas protest is a very, very interesting feedback loop for government. It's a cry that, we are not doing the right thing and everything like that. Another strategy is building institutional capacity, which includes training public officials on ethical standards and establishing accountability mechanism. Sometimes I think maybe sometimes, and this is what I feel, sometimes maybe some of our public officials are just incompetent. I don't think they are wicked. I think they are just incompetent. And it then comes out as them being insensitive and, they don't just know what to do. Maybe we also need to build capacity for them. I mean, there are some that, they are playing wicked and then they just want to, take over things and then squander all the money they can. But generally, there are some, maybe if we start building their capacity, they would be able to then deliver for the people. My last slide for today is just, a summary of what we've spoken about, which is institutional accountability is essential for good governance and public trust. What is the role of public institutions? It's ensuring effective and ethical governance, and then the importance of integrity. Importance of ethics and integrity is foundation of trust and effective public services. I don't know if we have any questions or comments. I would like to take that before we close for the day. I know I'm eating into the second session, and I'll try as much. I'm trying to round up now. I wish we had started earlier and we are able to make it much more conversational. Okay, since there are no comments, my last comment would then be on for us is that for us to be able to get good governance, we also have to play our part, engage the government. Okay, somebody has a comment. Okay, thank you very much, engage the government. Engage the government in whatever way you can, asking the right questions, fighting for Freedom of Information Act, like asking questions around things, understanding what is going on, understanding the policies. Please, I know it's very, very difficult right now, but I don't want you to lose hope. Vote in the next election. Your vote counts, or at least, it reduces the probability of being rigged. The more people are out, the likelihood of rigging reduces. engage politicians at the local level. Many of us don't even know who are representing us in our local government council areas and everything like that. We should know them and then be able to engage them very, very well and everything like that. And again, if you can, please go out and protest. It's your right. Your freedom of peaceful assembly is your right. And I wish you a very good day. Please, moderator, it's back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hassan, for a wonderful presentation on our topic today. We are very grateful for bringing light to this very issue. And I think for me, the highlight is in creating a system that places emphasis on accountability and transparency. Both the citizens and the government has a duty for citizens, all of us participants today. We have to ensure that we know our rights, we are abreast with every policy as the government is rolling them out, and to make sure that we voice out whenever we see a gap in it. Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful for this. And with that, we have come to the close of this session, and we'll commence the second session shortly. The link to join the second session will be available on the WhatsApp platform. So we're going to end this call, and everyone can kindly check on the WhatsApp platform for the link to join the second session. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone.